I get elected from that background, kind of rare. Like most folks, have dads and stuff that were in politics, that kind of thing. And I did it by just knocking on doors, like a ton of doors. So it's not, it's like kind of a fluke in some ways. Like there was no like path that's supposed to get me there. So Joe Suki, he was Speaker of the House at the time. He was in Maui. He's like a staple for many generations, older guy. He's like, you're gonna be the next thing, like I'm gonna groom you to like rise. But time and time again, this Democratic Party kept being on the opposite side of issues. Like they wanted the streams of Maui to be diverted for sole corporate use, Alexander Bolden, all the stuff. And I'm like, nah, we should share it with the kalo farmers. So, push me out then. The military wants to leave. Like, we should support them. I was like, no, we got to keep them here because, like, it's not about safety. It's like we need, we need the money from the defense contractors. And I'm like, are you sure? I think we need the homes, the 40,000 homes that they have. So they pushed me out then. Oh, Monsanto, we got to support Monsanto. I'm like, let's not support Monsanto. And they spray pesticides all over the schools. So like those kinds of issues, they're just like, nah. And those are like Native Hawaiian issues in a sense, but it's also just like common sense, environmental issues, pro-worker issues. So I think it was the biggest thing for me. It's, you only have two choices, right? You get if you really care, you can either join the Democrats and then get pushed out eventually. Yeah. Or you can be like Brenton and run as a Republican, but you don't get shit done for your district. Like you're not getting, if they say you need a high school, my district needed a high school, you're not getting that because you're an outsider. The third option is you just become one with the ship, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. And that's what most people end up. So that's the problem with the system. And this is why we need like a fundamental redoing of the way we even constitute our political system in the first place. Because this two-party thing just doesn't work for most people and it just divides us.
Oh, man, it's a little disheartening, And I feel like a lot of people would tap out and just go the other way after feeling like they've been defeated by the reality of it being this or this. The division is such an issue.
Yeah, if you have a big five corporation, it's like, why don't you just lobby for us then? And like, what's that? Like, you'll make a lot of money. It's like, it's hard to say no after being so jaded.
Bro, okay, so let me ask you this. As a Native Hawaiian that has experienced working for the U.S. federal government, let's talk about the United States occupation and the current state of Hawaii and its indigenous people. In your opinion, what are some of the most pressing issues that plagues the Native people? And then let's also hear solutions.
Yeah, so right now, there are more Hawaiians outside of Hawaii than here. And even if you're not Hawaiian, if you're working class in Hawaii, you're barely scraping by. You probably think about moving every day. They call it Zillow porn. You're looking at big houses in the Midwest or whatever. You're like, boo, I can afford that. Just here, I can't. That's real, I think, for everybody. And, the question I get a lot is like, how can we just people get more money? And it's like, there's only really two ways to do that, right? You either print more money, which the government does with the COVID checks and stuff. But what that does is you make money actually less valuable, and then inflation catches up, and that doesn't work. Or you redistribute money. You look at the billionaires that got 10x more money since COVID, and none of us got 10x more money, and you're like, damn, that sucks. But of course, billionaires aren't going to just let that happen. They have more power. Even government can't even fight them on that right now. So, what people really need, though, isn't more money. It's the stuff that money provides. What we really miss is the village. Like, we just want to bring the village back. Like, if we had housing and, like, common areas where we can gather, that's not just a mall that we don't have to pay for, and we had just enough food to feed everybody, and we had a value system that wasn't like, oh, I admire you because you have the biggest house and the most cars. It's like, no, I admire you because you give the most to the community. Like the song by the Green where, Hawaiian man gives the fish around. Like, that's our value system. If we can get back to that, I think most people would be way happier, even if it's not like they have a bunch of money in the bank. And in fact, a lot of people get rich and they're still isolated and they hate it. So yeah, housing, dignified housing, jobs that feel like it's meaningful. We need ways to actually be in community and bond at a real level, not just yelling at each other online. and a clean environment to live in. I think, and then good schools, for our kids, so they end up smarter than us. That's like the dream. If we can have those 5 things, that's great. And my thing is like, we have enough. There's enough wealth in America. There's enough wealth here. Just look around. It's just like people forgot how to share.
How likely is something like that happening, where we can create some type of village system where people can thrive and barter and live a more simpler life, but a more fulfilled and happy life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big question that defines today's politics on the economic front. Yeah, so you have like the left and the right.
Yeah,
which, I mean, we can get into. I think people don't really understand what that means.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the left and the right, man.
What do you think it means? What is left? What is right?
Well, I think that the left would be, like your liberals and your Democrats, and the rights would be, conservatives and Republicans. And that's really the extent. I know that there's some factions within that, but I'm not really well versed on it, and I don't really like to study it so much. So that's also why it was intriguing for me to have somebody like you, because I can share being a native for one, but then also your experience, and you're educated in that field. So that's kind of why you're here too.
No, I mean, I think you're right, and that's actually further along than most folks get. People think left and right means Democrat and Republican, but in reality, they're both kind of like center right in the global context. Like, you go to New Zealand, and their left wing party is like, workers should own the corporations they work in. Like, Democrats don't talk like that, right? Basically, like, the whole society should be one union. People don't talk like that. So the American ideas, the Western ideas of left and right doesn't apply well to Hawaii. And here's why. The right talks about tradition, and we got to preserve what we have. There's wisdom in our ancestors. I will die for this land. Like, that's the right. The left is like, man, things are too hard, and we need like a fundamental shift. Like, we got to change stuff. We got to fight for the little guy and make life work better for all of us. So we got to be looking forward, progress. The conservative, look back, right? I don't want to change everything, right? I don't want everything to change. I want to preserve our culture. I want to preserve our land, our traditions. But I also don't believe that things are working well. I think we got to change a lot of stuff. And I want to look out for the little guy. I don't want to let corporations and billionaires do whatever they want. So it's like the solutions tend to lean more left. Like, we want public ownership of streams. We think workers deserve more power over the corporations and the CEOs that are making 400 times more money than them. But we also want to like I testify for Iwi Kupuna. Like, I literally think my blood and bone is in this land, and I will die for it. And that's a right-wing frame. So what happens is Hawaiians hear this message of like nationalism and like this right-wing thing, and then they like, oh, they get drawn to that. But then in America, when they say, I will die for my people, who are they talking about? Are they talking about you? No. They're talking about, when he says like, we want to preserve the traditions of our ancestors, but their ancestors are KKK. Yeah. Like, are they talking about you? But so they fall, they come in at the top of the funnel, and they get deeper and deeper and deeper. And on the left, it's just like, no, we don't want to change everything, so they just ignore it. But like, realistically, when you talk to most people, they're a mix of like this frame and these solutions, and they just want things to be more fair, and they feel like the majority of us are just getting cut out of the equation.
Oh my gosh. So that kind of makes things a little bit more clear, but also makes things a little bit more complex, because I feel like people attach themselves to one side or the other really just to point a finger and feel like they're right, with not really understanding what that label means.
Yeah, so when you talk about the village mentality, like some of the ways that we fall into our camps online, you would never do if you're living among those people in a community, because like you want everyone, you got to save face in one way or another, and you got to see that person in the grocery store, later on. And I just want to remind folks, if that's what we want to win back, that community, then like we should just model that behavior.
And I think that ascends above parties.